My whole TikTok feed today has been like grief videos. Both of my parents, when they turned 50, they died. And I don't talk about it much. My mom is like the most incredible mom. And I went through addiction in high school, and when I went through addiction, I think her alcoholism, kind of skyrocketed. And I, to this day, still think that, I blame myself for it because, people make their own choices, but like surely I had some contribution. But I got clean, and she didn't, and she went from like super awesome single mom. She was still awesome, but she lost her job, lost everything, and she got really sick. She got liver cirrhosis. There's like this Atmosphere song yesterday where it's like, you know, I thought you crept slow, but really like you were running. Like it was like literally right before my eyes, and I tried to do everything I could, but I was trying to raise two kids of my own, and it was really hard. And so I spent a lot of years preparing for my mom to die, and my dad died. And you just realize that your parents, like, just do the best they can with what they have. And I'm 29, and I've realized that because there are some moments where I wish I showed up better, but I gave everything that I had. So yeah, I spent all these years preparing for my mom to die, and I get a phone call at 8 in the morning getting ready for work, and my dad dies from liver cirrhosis at 50. Like, just being straight up, like I was kidnapped pretty much from like my dad. Like they were in an abusive relationship, and my family in California kind of like up and rooted me. Really is considered kidnapping if you look at it that sense. But yeah, so I hadn't seen my dad since I was 5, but we'd reconnected and started talking on the phone every day, and he dies. And he wanted to know about my day. He'd ask me how my day was, and my mom, like, she didn't have a lot of emotional availability. So, it'd be like 3 or 4 days out, like smoking meth, and she didn't call, and it sucked. But, so I spent all these years preparing for her to die, and then he died. And then about a year later, on the dot, same time in the morning, I get a phone call that my mom's about to die. And so I was just going through a divorce. I went to go drop off my babies at their dad's house because we had just started sharing custody. And as I handed the car seat over, I get a phone call that my mom died. It was really hard. And I remember calling my boss, and she was like, there's no way that this just happened. And like, I'd spent so many years preparing for my mom to die, and then my dad died. And to be honest with you, I think that distraction, I didn't even think about, my mom dying, and she had stopped drinking because the cirrhosis, they both got liver cirrhosis. They both drank so much. And so it's like you see all these videos of grief on like TikTok, and they like don't pop up often, thankfully for me. It's not something I like really like to think about or talk about because it really does eat me alive. I've been through like the hardest moments of my life in like the past 2 years, and like sometimes you just want to like call your mom. But it's just crazy because grief like comes in waves. Like I go to therapy a lot for good reasons, and I have the liver enzymes, and now they think I have lupus, and I have like elevated liver and kidney, and the doctor's like, hey, stop drinking alcohol and stop eating red meat. I don't really. I'm borderline vegetarian, and I maybe have a half glass of wine, if that. And I guess apparently that's too much too. So it's really crushing, like losing anyone, like any kind of like grief and death and everything is like really hard. Those two like really, like one of the videos was like, wow, it really does shape you. It does, because I like had such a successful career, and like I was starting to feel like I was finding myself, and it threw me for one. And everyone was like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I was dying inside because you like grieve like the death of it, and then like you grieve like what you will never have. And there's also like for me it was like a strange sense of relief. Like my mom was like a cannon that was like unpredictable. And so she would be like messaging people I went to high school with, like passing out on the street. It was exhausting. And I'm like trying to take care of a newborn and go through a divorce of a drunk as well. And it was really, really hard. And so when you see these videos that are like so relatable, it does change you. When I was stranded in the Dallas hospital, like about 2 weeks ago, they said, you should call your parents to fly you home. Let me hop on the phone with Jesus. I think people just need to have a little bit more understanding. I will never expect anyone to understand the pain that I've gone through losing both my parents at such a young age. There's so many times where you like sit there and you're like, wow, like today was really, really hard. And you just want to like call your mom. And I have friends too who are like, yeah, I haven't called my mom in like 3 weeks. And I'm like, what? Like, your mom's sick right now. Like, I literally would call your mom for you. Like, I just don't get it. But wow, like, life is so fragile. And I remember when my mom did die, it was during COVID, so they almost didn't let me go up, you know. And so they said, oh, like, come upstairs. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to get, you know, sign some paperwork. And they stuck me in the room with my mom after she'd passed. And I didn't know. So I'd walked into my room and there was just like my mom, lifeless. And she hated like pictures and touching and all these things. And so it's like, I'm sitting there just like, what do I do? Like, don't hold your hand. Like, and so my mom was like a very stubborn lady. And so she had gotten hospitalized this last time. And she asked them for a cigarette and they told her no and she died. Very on brand for her. So I left her a cigarette. And it was, you know, it was tough. She like loved my daughter, but she was like drinking so much that she would be like, oh, let me watch the baby while you clean, you know, while you sleep. And I'd wake up and there'd be like alcohol under the sink. Or, you know, one time I walked in, it smelled like cigarettes. I said, what? She's like, well, I left the door open to hear the baby. I'm like, what? It's not the 90s anymore. What are you doing? To separate it of like, you know, hey, like, I love you, but I got to keep my family safe. And then she was an acquired taste. And so it was very on brand for her to just not get a cigarette and be like, I'm out. And then you have friends who are, you know, going out celebrating Mother's Day, Father's Day. Like, I'm so happy to have incredible parents and I'm so happy for you. But I try to be like really, you know, it's like going into a bar sober and being mad that everyone's drinking. Like, I can't be mad at everyone for having parents, but wow, do I envy so many people. And I'm very lucky to have like some figures step in, but it can be hard. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my trauma dump. I really don't talk about it often. I think I handle it better emotionally, but it hurts more. Like, it's hard to be happy for everyone, but it's like it comes easy for me to be happy for everyone, but I feel sad for me. And I always will. And I feel sad for my kids because my mom was like an incredible mom. And so you like daydream about like what it would have been like if things were different, or you know, who knows? I will never know. They will never know either. And it sucks. Like, my mom got to get to know my daughter and she loved her. She was in the room when she was born and she loved being a grandma. She just never got the chance to meet my son. And she saw a picture of him and she was like, wow, he's so handsome. He is. I think sometimes you just wish that they got to get to know the incredible people that I got to once know. Grief comes in waves and it sucks. And I won't always talk about it, but it's interesting seeing all these videos, and it's one of the most awful things to be able to relate to, but it does make you feel a little bit less alone. Life is fragile.